Welcome back to the third episode of Season 2 of the Real College Reviews podcast. As always, I'm your host, Jude Bazerman, and today I'm here with my good friend, Louis. But Louis, this episode's a little bit different than all the other ones so far. You want to explain why that is?
So what's going on, guys? My name is Louis LaMedica. I graduated with Jude from James Caldwell High School in 2022, and currently I'm working fire safety. I chose the non-college route. That's what's different about this episode.
And I think it's and before we even start talking about, everything that you've done in your journey and where you are now, I think it's so important to have just a different perspective on life after high school. And that's why, Louis, I'm just so excited to have you on because it's finally just a different perspective that we're going to have on this show, because not everyone goes to college, and college isn't really the perfect fit for everyone.
Absolutely.
So I'm just very excited to have you on. But I got to ask, and we'll just touch on this pretty briefly. You did go to community college for a semester, right?
Yes, I did. I went to County College of Morris, CCM.
And what was, the thought process of, I guess at first, how did you like your experience there?
Well, first of all, I just want to say for all the viewers out there that are serious about college, please do not follow in my footsteps. I signed up for CCM the day before classes started. So from the jump, I kind of, it was no good from the jump.
Yeah.
But CCM, they call it Harvard on the Hill. So
is that his actual nickname?
That is his actual nickname, yeah. Everyone that I've known that went there, I mean, my cousin went there. They had a great time.
Mm-hmm.
Just wasn't for me, man. The classes were really cramped. The professors were they were okay, nothing crazy. But overall, I'm not a school guy.
Yeah,
so.
Makes sense. And then I'll just going back in time more towards high school.
Yeah. I've
never been in a community college environment at all.
Mm-hmm.
In the classroom, I mean, are the students similar to what you would see in high school? Are the teachers kind of the same?
I'll tell you what, there was no difference in my mind from a community college classroom and a high school classroom.
Interesting.
It was the same to me.
Like in terms of
the only difference was I didn't have to ask to go to the bathroom. That was
That's
it.
always nice. And you could wear a hat too in class.
Yes, sir.
That's the best thing in college, I think. And I mean, while you were there, again, I'll just touch on this while we're on the subject. Were you majoring in anything specific or just kind of figuring out?
I was doing business administration, but I had no care for it.
Okay.
Like I said, just from the jump, nothing good about this.
Yeah. It makes sense. If you're not passionate about something, there's going to be no drive to do it. And I think that's a bigger theme with students that even are at college. If you're pursuing a major that you A, hate, or B, don't care about.
Absolutely.
Same thing with jobs as well, and I'm sure we'll get into that. You're not going to have that drive, and you're going to have a miserable time.
Absolutely.
Talking a little bit more about the students during your time at community college, again, what were they like high school students, or were they a little bit different? I mean, what was the typical characteristics of a CCM student?
Well, something about me, Jude. I didn't really talk to most of them. They were kind of annoying in my opinion. But yeah, I mean, they dress the same. They pretty much all act the same. There was definitely more variety since it was a community college. There were some people that were a little older than me. Studied for my math test with a 45-year-old dude one time. It was a great time.
Wait, more. I want to hear more about that. Did he go up to you or did you go up to him? And
he was sitting next to me and he said, "Hey, do you want to study for this test?" And I was like, "I guess so."
How'd you end up doing on that test?
I failed it.
Hey man, I guess age doesn't always mean wisdom and experience. I guess I guess you learned one thing from your time at community college.
Yeah.
But moving again, college just wasn't for you. Same thing with a lot of different people that kind of graduate from high school and don't really know what to do after they're 18 or 19. And
before you even continue, I just want to say, I want people to understand, a lot of people think that college is their only chance at success.
Right.
And I'm here to tell you that that's completely false. There is a job out there that matches your skill set. And once you can find that out, you'll be golden.
And continue.
Oh, yeah, I don't think that college is your only option, because there's so many things out there.
And that's the perfect segue into what I was going to ask next, and that what were some other options that, besides what you're currently doing right now, what were some other current options that were not only out there for you, but are out there for anyone who doesn't really want to go the college route following high school?
I mean, there's always trades are really good right now.
Like in plumbing, electrician,
of
stuff
course,
like that.
Yeah, stuff like that. I mean, I know a lot of people, their parents have a business. You could probably go into there if you wanted to. You could they could mentor you into that.
But trades is kind of the most popular
Trades
one.
is the most popular, for sure.
Yeah, I know a ton of people that we graduated with, if they're not working a minimum wage job like Jersey Mike's or McDonald's or something like that,
right.
It's apprentice electrician, apprentice carpenter, something along those lines. And explain more, because you're a fire safety technician, if I remember correctly. I'm glad I got the title down. What exactly do you do for your job? Because that title is very vague to someone like myself who, isn't in that industry.
So basically, what I do is my company, we go into hospitals and we test the fire alarms, we install fire alarm devices. Basically, we do everything that we can so that the fire department doesn't have to show up. They're going to show up either way, but we got to make sure that we can suppress the fire if one happens as quickly as we can.
But it's not like you're going into like an active fire.
No, we work on the devices that make that happen.
Okay.
So like if there's a fire in one room, the smoke detector that we designed or installed rather will let them know.
Right.
See what I'm saying?
Yeah, I get what you're saying. And again, it's a good job, honest day's work.
Right.
Genuinely, I mean, do you enjoy it? Going to work every day? Is it easy to wake up?
So, want me to give you like a day in the life kind of?
Yeah, that'd be great.
Okay. So, I wake up. What's so great about my job is that the hours are basically a high school day. I go in at 7, get home at 3. But yeah, I wake up at like 6, probably skip breakfast, like most people do.
Yeah.
And yeah, no, I go to work, I come home, I got a lot of time to do things when I get back. If I want to go to the gym or something, hang out with some friends. But yeah, it's pretty chill day.
And I mean, obviously, and we'll get to this a little bit later, when your friends who are, going away to school or away for the summer,
right,
or rather home for the summer, do you find that you're kind of on the same schedule as them with their work hours, or are you, so different where when you're around, they're working and vice versa?
I mean, it's kind of, it's subjective because it's kind of inevitable that not everybody's going to be
on the same
around
schedule.
The same schedule, but for the most part, I got time.
Yeah. And then during the course of your day on the job, just again, a very job specific question for you. Are you on your feet 24/7 while you're working, or is there a lot of downtime in your job?
Well, in the field that I'm currently working is a fire watch, which means all I'm doing during the day is sitting in a room and watching a panel. And something like that is just 8 hours straight of just hanging around.
Does it get boring at all sometimes?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, but you got to make the time pass. But on a different day where I'm installing devices, time goes by very, very quickly because you're doing stuff. You're always on your feet. You're working with electrical wires and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and as someone who does this all year round, at least for the time being.
Yeah.
Do you like being active more at your job, or do you like kind of sitting down and chilling out and being able to?
I'll give it to you this way. When I started my job, I walked in wearing Tim's, right? Because you got to wear some work boots, and my coworkers immediately said, "Dude, get yourself some sneakers. You're gonna be like maybe 10,000 steps a day. The boots are no good."
Yeah. So. And again, I think that's a great way of putting it, and that again perfectly transitions into what I wanted to ask next.
Awesome.
Right, as someone who's so young, and a lot of the people in our age group now are in college full time.
Yeah.
Are your coworkers, are they a lot older than you, or are they kind of the same age? And what is that relationship like from your perspective?
Well, so I joined my company at the age of 18, right? So I was the youngest by about 10 years, still am.
Yeah.
That's how age works. But as the youngest guy, I kind of had to earn my stripes.
Interesting.
I had to, people wouldn't really take me seriously because it's like this 30-year-old guy is like, oh, is 18. What is he going to do? He doesn't know anything. But, some of the older guys, they really took me under their wing. And I'm very thankful for that because I actually got a Roth IRA because of one of them. They helped me set up a retirement plan. Yeah. They really helped me out. I couldn't have asked for more of a help.
So it's for the most part, it's a good relationship with these guys and girls, even if they are, significantly older than you are.
Yes.
And, I mean, in terms of, a very micro-level question, you're able to talk to them about, just normal stuff like you would even, maybe not people your age, but just, a normal person having a conversation.
Almost exclusively.
Really?
Yeah.
That's
well, we have a thing. Sometimes I ramble off and they're like, "Hey, is this fire alarm related?" And I'm like, "Oh, probably not." Okay, let's leave it for lunchtime or something like that.
I don't know. It's always good because again, as someone who's in college full time and really only works over the summer, to me it's interesting, the dynamic of a relationship between a full time worker who's so much younger than most people in the industry. Because I don't know if it's it's not they're hazing them, but maybe they don't, like you said, take them seriously, but maybe not just for a couple weeks, but their entire time at said company. So I'm just very happy to hear for you and for most other people that the relationship between you and your coworkers really isn't a struggle.
Absolutely. Well, I mean, it's not like that everywhere, but I really lucked out with my company.
Yeah. And I think you're a pretty good umbrella for most people going into some sort of trade or other job outside of college.
Yeah.
And I already kind of asked this too, but you do enjoy being a full-time worker, right? Not just sitting around at your job, but if you were home all day doing nothing, or maybe just working 3 days a week and not at college, right? You almost feel more fulfilled.
I'll tell you what, it definitely has its ups and downs. What's great about my job specifically is that, like I said, I work from 7 to 3. It's like a school day.
Yeah.
But what does suck about it is that maybe my friends want to go out on like a Thursday night, and I have to say no because I have work at 6 a.m. in the morning. You know, but another thing that's great about it is that having a full-time job, you get paid time off. So if I want to go to a beach for the day or something like that, I get paid for that day, even though I didn't work.
And then what is your kind of favorite, that question really just sparked something.
Yeah.
I mean, what is your favorite, I guess, benefit that you get from your job that full-time students really don't get?
Money.
Yeah, that's true.
Listen, this is not me dissing anybody who chose the college route, because I do think that education is important if that's what you want to pursue. But, you know, I feel like, especially for me, someone who is not a school kind of guy, ask anyone from my high school, it's just not for me.
Yeah.
It's great to make the money instead of spending the money on something I don't care about. You know, people in my friend group, a lot of them in the next 4 years are going to have debt. I want to leave those 4 years with a positive bank account. Right. And that's what I'm trying to get to.
And I think, too, that that's not even something we touched on yet, where, again, that goes back to the fact that we were saying earlier of why spend so much time and energy and, like you said, money on something you could care less about or, period, hate. Yeah. So I think that's a good reason to bring up. And I think that also kind of transitions into another topic that, you know, again, always gets me wondering, because I've never been in your shoes as a full-time worker. Is it difficult sometimes when, you know, maybe it's February or March and your friends are away at college, at least for the most part? Is it difficult to be a full-time worker when most other people your age are full-time college students?
So that's actually a really interesting topic, because I'm gonna bring it back to when I started my company.
Yeah, go ahead.
It was a really hard transition. You know, I had to grow up pretty quickly. You know, because in college you can sleep in and miss a class and it's not the end of the world.
Right. You
sleep in on a day of work, you might face termination. You know what I mean? It happens, but it was kind of like a wake-up call. It was definitely a very hard pill to swallow, simply because I'm choosing a different path than my friends. Mm-hmm. I won't lie. It did kind of feel like if someone had asked me, oh, so what are you doing? Are you in college? And I'll say, actually, no, I'm working full-time. Mm-hmm. I almost kind of see in their face that they kind of like look at me a little lower. Yeah. Even though it probably wasn't true. Maybe it was. I don't know. It's just how I felt. Right. You know, it was just different. But once I kind of developed that balance between work and like having fun doing other things, it definitely got a lot easier. I mean, I go to visit colleges on the weekends.
You came to visit me.
I came to visit Syracuse. It was a great time. I didn't have to take any days off for work. Right. Went on the weekend. Yeah, it was nice.
So you could definitely still have fun.
Oh, for sure.
You're working full time.
Yes. And you just have to find the balance.
Yeah, and is it, I mean, I'll ask you this too, because you're someone, right, for the listeners who don't know you, have a lot of friends, you're very personable. Do you often, like, I know you came up to visit me twice in the past semester.
Yeah.
Are you visiting a lot of other colleges frequently too? Like, is that what you do over the weekends a lot?
I got about 8 sweatshirts. I buy a sweatshirt at every college I go to. I think I might have missed Syracuse. I got to go next semester. Yeah, definitely. But yeah, I've been to like Seton Hall, MSU to name a few.
Yeah.
Even Delaware. Delaware's a great campus. I do my best to try and get out there and see as many people as I can, because, you know, during the week it is rough working all the time. I give myself a little time to unwind and head out on the weekend.
Fun over the weekends. Yeah, and then you mentioned the weeks being tough when you're working full time. You know, you mentioned also going
not so much tough, more lonely, I would say.
Interesting.
It's especially during the school year. I mean, the only reason I know that it's summertime is all my friends are home.
Yeah.
You know, because during the week of work, during the school year, it's just nobody's around. You know, and I can talk to people on the phone, but obviously it's not the same. Yeah.
And what do you usually do, right? Say you don't want to go to the gym one day, or you just have no plans after work and you kind of want to, I don't know, be social or just do something and get out of the house. Is there something that is your go-to, like as a social activity during the quote-unquote school year?
I mean, I really do I would say I would go to the gym. I mean, there's nothing really better than that.
That's true.
If there's nothing else to do.
Yeah.
Maybe catch up on a Netflix show.
Right.
There still are a couple people that live home, but for the most part, just hanging by the family.
Yeah. I think there's beauty in that as well.
Oh, for sure.
And then you touched on the summer as well. It's really just not a difference for you with students. I mean, it's the biggest change ever. We're going from classes and all the stress from schoolwork. For you don't get a summer break from work, right?
No. I get 2 weeks paid vacation, but I can use that at any time.
Oh, throughout the course
year.
Of the year.
Yeah.
Okay. And do you find yourself using that during the summer? Well, I'll ask
Definitely.
this too. Kind of a tag along to this question. You don't have to take those 2 weeks at the same time, right? Like you could take 1 day in April and then 2 days in May.
Well, for example, tomorrow I'm getting on the train to North Carolina to see my friend Theo.
Okay.
But I took off tomorrow, Friday, and Monday, and I can take off whenever else afterwards. It could be later, it could be November. It doesn't matter.
And say, right, you take all those vacation days. Maybe you went on a family vacation in the summer, and you just happen to use up those days throughout the course of the year, and it's September, October, and you get sick with the flu or some bad thing. Do you get sick days as well?
It's 2 weeks in total. I think 10 of those days are vacation days and 4 of them are sick days.
Okay.
But the way it works is that I believe, and I don't quote me on this, but I think if you go over, you either just don't get paid or they take off for next year.
Interesting.
So instead of 10 days, you get 9.
Interesting. I didn't know that either, because have you ever, I mean, you haven't really been there for that long, kind of compared to your other coworkers.
About a year and a half.
Has that ever happened to you? Have you been in a situation where your pay is going to get docked or days the next year are going to get off?
No, I have. I usually am pretty good about getting to work.
Yeah.
I try to, like, what's the word? I try to form my, like, fun schedule, if you say, around my work schedule, because work comes first. Got to make the money first before I can have the fun.
Right.
So, no, I haven't had that happen.
Yeah, and then speaking of making the money before having the fun, I think that's a great way of putting that, by the way, that I think more people should adopt that mentality. Absolutely. It's pretty easy to just save up money for you as a full-time worker. I'm just asking this because you still live with your parents, right?
I do,
and
yeah.
Would that be a route?
So no bills. Yeah.
I was going to say, is that a route that's kind of what I was touching on in my first question that I couldn't really spit the words out for. Living with your parents, at least at age 19, age 20, is that a route that you suggest taking, or are you kind of itching to get out of the house?
Dude, stay home as long as you can, man. As long as you can. If you got no bills to pay, save. That's all I can tell you. Save.
And and this is obviously a decently personal question, but as a full-time worker, is there something specific you're saving towards, or are you just saving for just the general future?
Just a rainy day, man. Listen, I don't know if you're aware, but our generation isn't expected to be able to buy a house until we're 34 years old. Yeah. So, I mean, my parents got married when they were 22 years old. Oh,
wow.
So they were married, had kids, and had a house at 26. Like, that's unheard of for us. Yeah. So I'd really like to get a jump on making a fund for that.
And I'll ask this, too, is that, I know you touched on school really just not being for you, being the main reason why you dropped out of college.
Well, I'm going to stop you right there.
Yeah, go ahead.
I don't actually like the term dropping out. I like to call it dodging a bullet.
I'll use that for the rest of it. Forgive me.
No, I'm only messing with you. but in my opinion, I dodged the bullet of college.
Yeah, and that, again, like you talked about with the time and the money, too, was that whole looking towards the future, 5, 10, 15 years in the future, was that a main reaun why you, quote-unquote, dodged the bullet?
Like I said before, a lot of people think that their only option is college, and once I kind of figured out that wasn't for me, it was definitely hard for my mom to kind of accept that and understand. But dude, I'm making money now. I couldn't be happier. Like I said, I was necessarily never the best student, but I figured I had to go and make some money. I had to get off my ass and do something.
Yeah.
Right? So it wasn't necessarily part of the plan, but then again, I didn't really have a plan.
Yeah.
So for anyone that doesn't have a plan out there, there's something out there. You just got to look for it.
Yeah, and you talk about looking for it. I don't think I asked you, how did you find the job that you're currently in?
So what I'm about to say is going to contradict everything I just said. My dad is friends with the project manager of the company.
Okay.
And he kind of took a chance on me. He gave me the offer, and I took it right away. And that was actually about 2-3 months after I decided to drop out of college or dodge the bullet.
What were you doing in that meantime then, in between when you dodged the bullet and then when you decided to accept this offer for the full-time
That's
job?
actually interesting you asked me that, because I was actually going to work with my dad, kind of like mirroring him, watching what he was doing.
Yeah.
And one day he said, listen, my friend's got a job offer for you if you want to take it. And the rest is history.
All right, so you didn't want to be like that, I know you're a big fan of the show, but like an AJ Soprano just sitting on his ass doing nothing.
You're saying that because my dad looks like Tony Soprano, huh?
All right, maybe we'll put a picture of him up on the podcast.
Maybe.
He does, for the record.
Does. No, he does, yeah. Nah, listen, what my dad does is kind of what I was studying in college.
Business something along that route, yeah.
Like financial stuff, it's just not for me.
And then this too, and I thought about this way before, but I think the perfect time to ask this question is now. You talk about really not knowing, or knowing rather, that school was not for you. Not just college, but high school, middle school, whatever type of school. When did you know that? Like, was it young, like 5 or 6 years old, or was it kind of older, like 16, 17 in high school?
Well, I mean, you could graduate without doing any work in high school. Everyone knows
especially
that.
I'll say this too, because we haven't been in a high school in 2 years. I have no idea. During our couple years with COVID, it was
it was
the
a
easiest
cakewalk.
thing ever.
Yeah.
So I think you're 100%
Well, that's what I'm saying. I put zero effort into high school and I graduated with a 3.0 average.
Yeah.
Which again is not great,
but it's solid.
It's solid. Exactly. No, yeah, I kind of knew, like I said, I signed up for a community college the day before classes started. I didn't look at any colleges before that. I was just kind of very turned off by the whole college scene. But yeah, no, I feel like I kind of always knew that college wasn't for me.
Like, even like, I don't want to keep
like in the beginning of senior year.
Really? So it was
say.
That's when you even when people were starting to kind of ramp up their search and even pick schools, you were just really had no impact on you.
Yeah.
I think that perfectly ties in as well to, you talked about this before, with people's facial expressions almost dropping when you told them you worked full time. Are there any societal pressures that you sometimes feel for not being in college and being a full-time worker at, age 19, 20? Or is that not something you feel as much?
Well, I mean, I feel like I kind of already answered that before. That everyone thinks that they need to go to college to make a living in America. While it's true to a certain extent, like I said, you got to realize that the world's your oyster. Yeah. There's so many things out there, and there's so many opportunities. You just got to look for them.
But you think that just the stigma alone of people being like, oh, you need to go to college, you're not doing life the right way, you think that's real as someone who is not going that route?
Absolutely.
Okay. Because again, like I said, I haven't been in your shoes before, so it's very interesting because I think it's real and I think it's not real. But obviously, again, I haven't been in your shoes. I haven't experienced that. Because I'll see on Instagram, I'll be like, oh, like you said, you can't buy a home till you're 34 with the average income. The only way to do this is become a doctor, lawyer, engineer, astronaut, baseball player. And it's like, all right, hold on. And then I'll see another reel where it's like, I just made $160,000
drop shipping or something like that.
Something stupid like that. So it's very interesting to hear from an actual person who's working full time. So I think, again, that's why I'm kind of hitting this nail on the head a couple times, just to really drive home the point that unfortunately the stigma does exist, and that's part of the reason why I wanted this episode, because there are very valid other ways besides college.
Well, like I said, I think you need to not worry about what everybody else is doing and focus on yourself. Yeah.
100%.
I mean, I got more money than the person that was plotting on me. You know what I mean?
Yeah. That's a good point. And I also want to ask this too, and again, we touched on this with more of the financial situation, but more or less with your job specifically, is there anything that do you have a plan for maybe where you want to go in terms of your occupation in the next, 5-10 years?
So whenever I tell somebody that I'm in fire safety, their first thing is always, oh, so you're a firefighter. Very, very different. Like I said at the beginning, we service the equipment, right? But I do think that after I save up some money with the company I'm currently at, I'd like to join the bureau. I'd like to become a firefighter.
As a volunteer or full time?
Well, yeah, full time.
Getting paid or
yeah.
Okay. Because I know here in Caldwell and other small towns, it's like you do it after work and you don't get paid, but it's full time job. Is there anything, I don't know how much you've.
I haven't put too much thought into it, but that's what I'd like to do.
I was gonna ask. Is there any schooling you have to go to, or is it just you kind of sign up and they train you and you're a firefighter?
I honestly couldn't tell you, but I need to look into it.
Yeah. But, just to kind of wrap up this question into one little kind of bite-sized piece of information, you're happy at your job right now.
Absolutely.
But you do kind of want to go somewhere else.
Yeah, I don't see myself being here for the rest of my life.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think, again, that's good that you have some sort of plan. I know you haven't looked much into that, but at the end of the day, we're both 20 years old.
Yeah, taking it day by day.
Day by day, and I think that's the same thing I do. That's the same thing I think most people do as well. But as we kind of wrap up here, because I think you've really answered all these questions pretty perfectly, and you've given everyone, especially me, because I'm learning so much from this conversation, just great information about not going the college route. And this question I kind of ask to the students who I have on that are in college, but for you, it's going to sound a little bit interesting. If you could, I guess, describe, right, not your job, but maybe like your current situation in one sentence.
In one sentence.
It's a tough. even with students in colleges, when I say, "Oh, can you describe your college in one sentence?" They gotta think for a
You mean like what's currently going on in my life?
Yeah, from where you were in high school to where you are now. I can
sum it up into one word for you.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say secure. I feel secure with myself. I feel secure financially. I feel secure with my family. Now that I have an actual direction, and I actually have something to talk about when someone asks me what's going on.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So definitely the word secure would ring a bell for me.
Yeah, and I think that's really now you're the first person to ever answer that question in one word, so I'll give you a little badge after we're done here.
Oh, thanks.
But regardless, I think a lot of people are insecure, so I'm just happy that for you that you have that ability to just say, I'm happy with who I am and where I am and where I want to be in the future. Yep. I think that's great. And this is something, too, we've kind of hit, again, like I've said, the financial nail with the hammer a bunch of different times. But is it a good feeling knowing that, right, a college student's paying all that money to put in work? Meanwhile, you're getting paid money to put in work every single day.
There is something so fulfilling about getting that paycheck at the end of those 2 weeks for the work that you did. It's like an accomplishment. You've done it for yourself,
And so it's almost like a sense of fulfillment and a sense of like, I'm actually doing something to maybe not make a difference in the world. I mean, I guess you are, because fire safety is important.
If I don't do my job right, people die.
And do you, again, this is kind of a follow-up, but do you find that fulfilling as well? Or is it really just kind of like, I'm going in there, getting a check, and then heading out?
No, yeah, definitely. I mean, I always like to view myself as someone who likes to help people, and this is my way of doing so.
Yeah, and I think that's fantastic. And I think, again, your hopeful future career as a firefighter is another great way to help people. And I think you've done, like I said before, a great job giving myself and everyone else just a great overview of what it's like not going the college route following high school.
Happy to do so.
And as we wrap up, is there anything else you want to add or something that I missed that you just want to let everyone know about?
Listen, guys, link in the description.
Yeah, merch is coming out soon.
Bio. No, seriously, man, just something's out there for you. Go get it. Don't wait around and think it'll just come to you.
And I'll add this too. Don't think you have to do something just because other people or the overall culture tells you have to.
Yep.
And Louis, again, thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
I wish you the best of luck in your career.
Thank you, sir.
And, I hope you get to that firefighter stage, soon.
Hopefully.
And that it's something great that you can carry with you the rest of your life.
Yes, sir. Thank you.